Hey y'all, welcome to Susan's Country Living. Glad you stopped by. I'm Susan. Welcome to my kitchen today. It's a rainy day out here in the southern part, southeast part of Texas, and I'm going to be making some honey strawberry jam. This is sweetened with just honey and organic ripe strawberries. In this part of Texas this time of year, it is strawberry picking time, so there's lots of places that you could go, greenhouses that have them to pick, or even outdoors in the ground. So I picked some up at the store. I didn't go pick any, but they had some organic strawberries on sale. They were trying to get rid of them, I guess, and so I picked up 4 boxes of them. So for this recipe, I used Pomona Pectin, and I just follow the recipe that comes with the pectin, and I order it in bulk, and because I use quite a bit of it, and I like it. It's a citrus pectin. Some people who can't tolerate apple pectin can tolerate the citrus pectin. So, and I like using it because I can order it in bulk, and it is a low sugar pectin. So what I have today is I took my 2 pounds of strawberries, washed them, hulled them, and I've chopped them up. And now I'm going to get mashing here. And we're just going to mash them up with this potato masher. You could, if you wanted, to puree these in a food processor or blender, but I like chunks in my strawberries. They tend to float, so today I'm going to try a procedure that after I get them jarred, if I see that the fruit is floating to the top, I'm going to see if I can prevent that. But otherwise, I just mix the strawberries in when I open. But I do sell these at the farmer's market, so I like to have the jam that looks the same throughout, where they're not floating. Here I have them some mashed up, but then I still have some chunks there. So this recipe calls for, if you're going to use honey, anywhere from 1/2 cup to 1 cup. I have 1 cup of honey, and I mixed 2 teaspoons of the Pomona Pectin into the honey, and I'm going to set that aside. Also, it calls, of course, it comes with the calcium. You have to make a calcium water. I just keep this in the refrigerator, and 2 teaspoons of calcium water. So we're going to go ahead and add that to our berries. 1, 2. And I like using a spatula to stir with. It really gets to the bottom of the pan much better than a curved spoon, and I'm able to keep the fruit from scorching. I can keep it moving, and it just does a really good job of getting to the bottom of that pan. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this on our fire, and we're going to bring this to a boil, and then we will add the honey and pectin mixture. This there's no lemon juice in this one, and we'll put it in the in our boiling strawberries and usually boil for a couple of minutes, and then it'll be ready to jar up. So let's get it on the fire. This would be a regular stove, this size. I have bigger ones on this, but I put it at about kind of a medium heat, and I'll stir it occasionally. Alright, so our strawberry jam is boiling, and what we're going to do is we're going to add that cup of honey that has the 2 teaspoons of pectin stirred into it. You could also make this with sugar. It calls for anywhere from 3/4 cup to 2 cups of sugar, depending on how sweet that you want it. Stick that down there, kind of melt it off. Get all that honey. All right. And then we're going to stir that in here. And we're going to bring it back to a boil, full boil, until it returns to a full boil, and then we take it off the heat. So you want to keep on stirring because you want to dissolve that pectin. And when it says come back to a boil, that means it's a boil that you cannot stir down. If you can stir the boil down, when you stir and the boil goes away, then it's not a vigorous or a full boil. Get a bowl and a spoon just in case I do have some foam. I'm going to skim that off once I take it off the fire. Okay, we've got it boiling, but I can still, when I stir it, then that boiling in the center kind of goes away. You stop, it comes back. Kind of hard to see with the steam there, but it's almost there. Okay, so now I'm stirring. And it continues to boil. So it is ready. So I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to move it off my fire for just a little bit. I've got my ladle. I'm going to skim off some of this foam here. Let me bring you over here so you can see here. Okay, so it's got this foam, and I just take it off, and it's good to eat. This is how I taste my jelly. Some people add a tablespoon of butter. That cuts down on the foam, but I don't want any dairy in my jam because there may be someone purchasing it who cannot have dairy. Some people put margarine. I don't use margarine. I'm knocking it off best I can. Some of the foam will stir back down in there. All right. So we're going to get our jars. I've had them in this my steamer. And I'll let the rest of that water evaporate out here. So I'm going to pull these jars out. I'm going to put my... It said that for 5 minutes to let this set and to stir it occasionally to help to keep the fruit from floating. So I'm trying that. I turn these upside down in the steamer, and that steam sterilizes them. You can put them right side up with water in them. I've done that also. And once I turn them over, that water will evaporate right out of there really quick. We're going to start filling up our jars here with the jam. So I have a ladle, a metal ladle. This is a 4-ounce ladle. I like to use this. It kind of gives me an idea of how much I need to put in the jars. I have a lid lifter. It's magnetic, so that I can pick up those lids from the water easily. A funnel to keep from making a mess. And I usually grab a silicone spatula so that if I have a lot still in the pot that kind of sticks, that's kind of our jar, I'll scrape it into a jar there. So it said this made 5 cups, so I pulled out 4 8-ounce or 1 cup containers and 4 4-ounce jars. So I get these off Amazon, and they have worked wonderful for me. These particular brands don't necessarily like the lids for these. I've had some not seal, so I use those lids if I'm making something that doesn't need to be sealed, but I need that lid on there, and so I do use them. And I can kind of tell, you can tell by the amount of that sealing compound that's there. So we're going to go ahead and fill these up. Of course, you need I keep a paper towel to wipe the rim with, and we're going to fill up some of these jars. So I'm stirring, and get that stirring so I can get an even number of chunks of strawberries, and we just put in that jar. Of course, you want your jars hot. 1/4 inch headspace. It always requires just a little bit more there, and that's about a 1/4 inch headspace. Maybe a little too much. I'll leave it. It's almost a 1/4. So we're going to give that another stir. For the farmer's market, I like to make 8-ounce and 4-ounce jars, because there's a lot of people that come that it just may be them in their household, and they may not eat up a jar before it starts to go bad. And after you open it, you have to refrigerate it. So they appreciate the small 4-ounce size. So I do make a couple of those of each kind. We're going to do a 4-ounce. Do a couple of 4-ounce. Like I said, it said that it made 5 cups. But it looks like 4, because I did not puree. We're just going to throw this over here in the sink, and I'm going to use this like this and get that. It's still very, very hot. Looks like perfect. Alright, and there's just about a tablespoon left, and that'll be my taste. Alright, so it made 1, 2, 3, 4 cups and about a couple of tablespoons. So what we're going to do, I'm going to turn my fire on for my canner to get it going. It's still hot. I'm going to take my paper towel. I'm going to dip it in some of this hot water, just the corner of it, get a little damp. I'm going to wipe the rim. You don't want anything on the rim, or you will not get a good seal. That if there's any food particles, even just a little seed of a strawberry. Lid's on. Just want to put it on top. I do use the rings that came with these jars, because sometimes the rims, they're different threads, even though they say they're the same as like Mason and Ball. Sometimes these that you order on the internet that are not Mason, Ball, Kerr, their rings work better with it. So just finger tight. And I'm just going to set these over here in the canner. And ready for our larger jars here. So this has a dial on the top of it that tells you when the dial gets to a certain point, that's when you start your time, and it's based on your elevation. So be sure to follow the manufacturer's directions for that. So we're going to let this steam for 10 minutes. Once it's up to the temperature, I'll start my timer at 10 minutes. All right, so our 10 minutes of steam canning is up, and it has sat 5 minutes with the fire off, so I'm ready to remove this lid and take out my jars to cool over here on what I have is a board, a bamboo or a wood board with a towel on top of it. And it's stained from jelly making. That's okay. That's what I use it for. All right, I got some pork fat rendering here. That's another video. And I want to be careful not to drip any water down into that hot fat. So we're going to take this off. See my fruit floating just a little bit in that one, but there's not much at the bottom. And the fruit's kind of floating in that one there. Oop, I heard a pop. Alright, so I saved that little bit that was left there. That's the foam that I skimmed off, and that's good too. And we're just going to take a taste. That was good. It's not super sweet, but big strawberry flavor, which I like. Organic strawberries, honey from our hives in the backyard. Would have been better if I'd have just gone and picked them myself. And even this foam. It's kind of like a strawberry mousse. It's yummy. So, well, thanks for joining me today here on Susan's Country Living. I hope you make you some strawberry jam with no sugar, just some honey and some pectin, and enjoy a yummy treat on ice cream and biscuits and toast, and even a piece of pound cake would be great with that strawberry jam on it. So glad you joined me. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe for more things that go on here on our little homestead in the country. And one thing that you could do for my channel would be to share on your social media. So glad you stopped by. Bye, y'all.